Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to quickly go through what a game performance assessment indicator is. Alright, this is attached to your online lesson and the teacher has a hard copy for you. Alright, so first things first, put the player in you're observing. So if you're in a practical sense, you're going to pick someone in the class and you're going to observe them, and I want you to observe them 5 times at least. Put your name down as the assessor and then the observation date, so the days you watch the player play. Alright, so in the online lesson, I want you to watch an NFL player and you are going to observe their decision making, game understanding, space awareness, and movement strategies. Alright, so here we've got the criterias and we've got some examples. So for decision making, if the player passes to an open teammate, if the player intercepts the ball or knocks the ball down, if the player runs when there is an opening in the defense, that's all indications of good decision making. Game understanding, player is aware of the time and acts accordingly, player selects the right scoring option, spatial awareness, player runs in open space to receive the ball, player throws into a area where the player is going to run into, so player throws the ball into space is what that's meant to say. The next one, player dodges the player without being tagged. All right, so he identifies that there's someone coming to tag him. All right, he dodges before the player can get him. Okay, so he's aware of the space and he's aware of his surroundings. Movement strategies, player runs the correct pattern to either receive the ball or create space for teammates. Defenders rush the quarterback if the timing is right. All right, you need to mark these down. So every time you see decision making, I want you to put down one marker. If it was effective, if it was inappropriate, then you put down another marker on the other side. Okay. What you'll end up having is if you have 5 indicators all in the appropriate category for decision making, you'll go across to this section and you'll put in 5. All right, if you only see it 3 times, you only put 3 in. All right, if there is, say, 5 appropriate and 3 inappropriate, then your scoring is going to be 2. Okay. All right, we're going to go and have a look at some specific examples. Now, again, before we get there, A stands for appropriate, or IA inappropriate. E equals efficient, or I equals inefficient. All right, so if you put them down, that's just what they mean. Now, these are some indicators of what the scoring system is. So, very effective performer if you always see it. So, if you've given 5 scores out of that. Now, we're going to go have a quick look at an example. All right, so watch these guys. All right, so in that instance, that was a poor decision by the quarterback. So, if you had him, all right, because he threw the ball nearly to an intercept instead of throwing it high like this guy is indicating, all right, you go to your game performance assessment indicator and you would go down to decision making and you would put one down for poor. Okay. Now, if we go back and watch it again, watch the next progression. We clearly see the replay as well. All right, if you stop it here, you can also see that this player has some space between his player and the opposition player. So if you've got him, you can put down good spatial awareness. And you can also put down, because the quarterback didn't see him, it means he's got poor ability to identify space in this instance. Okay. Additionally, this 15, if you had him for a white, he's read that play well. Okay, so you could go down to game understanding or movement strategies or even decision making and say, yes, he's made an effective decision to stay with his player and intercept the ball or attempt to. He understands where they were going to throw it, right? So he's got a good understanding of the game, and he also knew their movement strategy, so a good indicator there. Finally, we'll go back and do one more example. All right, so again, now successful pass and successful score. So you could say the red quarterback made a good decision. So you go back to your game performance assessment indicator and put down uh, a good movement strategy for decision making. And the last little bit, we're just going to talk about game understanding. All right, so if you listen to them carefully just then, Owens, who's the quarterback for the red team, just said they've only got 12, so we're only going to try for one extra point. All right, because in this game they can go for one, two, or three extra points, which we'll show you in a second. Okay, because they're not far behind, they don't want to take too many risks. Okay, that means it's a really good example of game understanding. So you put down A as a good game understanding in that instance. All right, and we'll see how it pans out for them. All right, so now they've changed their decision and they're going to go for 2 points instead of one. All right, this has got more risk about it, so we'll see if it's a good decision or a good understanding of the game where it is. So pause down the bottom here. 5 yard line gets 1 point, 10 yard line gets 2 point, 20 yard line gets 3 point. Okay, so that just means the further they start with the ball back. All right, obviously 20 yards going to have more risk associated with it. It's hard to get 20 meters. 5 yards is easier, so it's only worth 1 point. All right, so an unsuccessful attempt there. Okay, so you can put down he had a good understanding of the game in one instance, all right, but the rest of his team had a poor understanding of where the game was in that point in time. Or you could just simply say, because the risk at that point in time didn't matter, all right, it still was an acceptable decision to make, even though it was unsuccessful. Okay, because they're only behind by 6 and they've got 2 more quarters to make it up, it wasn't a huge risk to take. So therefore, it's still a relatively good decision to make. Okay, risk versus reward. Right, that should explain most of it. However, the last little bit I want you to do is in this section, put down any comments you think is relevant for decision making, game understanding, spatial awareness, or movement strategies based on your player. Now you want to analyze their movement concept strategies. So if they did it well, if they didn't do it well, and then tell me areas for improvement. All right, that should be pretty self-explanatory for the rest of it. Obviously over here with your scoring system, just add them all up and give me a total. Okay, so it should be, yeah, maximum 5, 10, 15, 20. So maximum should be 20.